So let me tell you a little bit more about what we found here. As many of you know, Washington Trust's historical home is in Washington County, Rhode Island. But beginning in 2002, the bank began a substantial expansion, and by 2016, it was effectively a statewide bank. The bank's expansion brought with it an obligation to serve all communities all across the state. As we allege in this case, Washington Trust's lending model relies on bank branches as the linchpin of its lending structure. In other words, the bank relied primarily on mortgage lending officers in branches to generate mortgage loans and develop relationships to serve the credit needs of community members. And because of that business model, where the bank opened branches mattered. We found, however, that as it expanded, Washington Trust, as the Assistant Attorney General suggested, did not open a single branch in a majority Black Hispanic area. Instead, the bank located its new branches in majority white areas every time. What you see here in orange are the majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods in Rhode Island, and as you can see, the bank's branches are uniformly located outside of those areas. And given its branch-based lending model, that had significant adverse effects on lending, and the bank knew it. As early as 2011, we alleged that the bank was aware of its redlining risk from both internal and external assessments, including from its own compliance department. But even with that information, we allege that no effective changes were made and that Washington Trust did not take adequate steps to remedy the situation and meet its legal obligations. And the effect was severe. Our investigation found that during the five-year period between 2016 and 2021, other banks generated applications from Black and Hispanic borrowers in majority Black and Hispanic Rhode Island neighborhoods at nearly 4 times the rate as Washington Trust. And not only did they generate applications, those other banks actually made loans in those neighborhoods at more than 4 times the rate of Washington Trust, which demonstrates that there were thousands of qualified borrowers for home loans and sufficient mortgage demand in those communities. In contrast, we found that even when it did lend in majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods during the period we looked at, Washington Trust's loans went overwhelmingly to white borrowers. Based on the disparities that we identified, which were statistically significant in every year that we looked at, we allege that Washington Trust violated the Federal Fair Housing Act and the Equal Credit Opportunity Act.